What if one night, one beach, and one unexpected connection could change two lives forever? This isn't just a love story, it's about timing, secrets, and a moment that neither of them was supposed to feel, but couldn't resist. Before we begin, hit subscribe, because stories like this don't come often, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The waves rolled in like whispers from another world, brushing the shore with a rhythm that felt almost alive, as if the ocean itself was holding secrets it wasn't ready to tell. María José stood barefoot on the sand, her dress caught gently in the breeze, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the sky melted into the sea. She hadn't planned to come here tonight. In fact, she hadn't planned anything anymore. Life had a way of unraveling her carefully built expectations, leaving her standing exactly like this, lost between what was and what could be. Alejandro wasn't supposed to be here either. He had driven for hours, escaping a city that felt too loud, too heavy, too full of memories he couldn't carry anymore. The beach was empty when he arrived, or at least he thought it was, until he saw her, standing alone, like a painting that didn't belong to the real world. For a moment, he considered turning back. He wasn't looking for company. He wasn't looking for anything. But something about her made leaving impossible. María José heard the crunch of footsteps behind her and turned slightly, her guard rising instantly. She had learned to be careful, to read people quickly, to trust her instincts. And yet, when her eyes met Alejandro's, there was no immediate fear, just curiosity. "Didn't think anyone else would be here," he said, his voice calm, almost cautious. "Neither did I," she replied, folding her arms slightly as if to hold herself together. There was a pause, not awkward, but filled with something unspoken. The kind of silence that feels heavier than words. Alejandro gestured toward the ocean. "Mind if I stay?" She hesitated. Then, softly, "It's a free beach." That should have been the end of it. Two strangers sharing space, nothing more. But life rarely follows simple paths. Minutes turned into conversation. Conversation turned into laughter. And laughter slowly broke down the walls they had both spent years building. María José told him she used to believe in plans, that if you worked hard enough, loved deeply enough, everything would fall into place. Alejandro admitted he used to believe the opposite, that nothing ever stayed, so it wasn't worth holding on. Somewhere between their words, something shifted. The air grew warmer. The distance between them faded. And for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt alone. But what neither of them knew, was that this moment wasn't accidental. Alejandro hadn't come to this beach by chance. And María José wasn't just a stranger. Hours earlier, Alejandro had received a message, one he almost ignored. A name he hadn't heard in years. A connection he had tried to forget. It led him here, to this exact place, at this exact time. And María José, she had been waiting, not for him specifically, but for something, anything, that could finally break the cycle she felt trapped in. As the night deepened, their conversation grew more personal, more vulnerable. They shared stories they had never told anyone. Regrets, dreams, the kind of truths that only come out when you know the moment is temporary. Because deep down, they both felt it. This wasn't meant to last. And yet, that made it even more powerful. Alejandro found himself noticing the smallest details, the way María José smiled when she forgot to be guarded, the way her voice softened when she spoke about things she loved, the way she looked at the ocean like it understood her. María José noticed his restraint, the quiet strength in him, the way he listened more than he spoke, but when he did speak, it mattered. It was dangerous, this connection. Not because it was wrong, but because it felt too right, too quickly. And then came the twist. A single question. "Have we met before?" Alejandro asked, half joking, half serious. María José didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time that night, as if deciding something. "You don't recognize me?" she asked quietly. And just like that, everything changed. Because Alejandro did. Not fully. Not instantly. But something clicked. A memory. A moment from years ago he had buried so deeply he didn't think it could ever resurface. A hospital hallway. A desperate decision. A life-altering choice. María José had been there. And suddenly, this wasn't just a coincidence anymore. This was unfinished history. What followed wasn't anger. It wasn't confrontation. It was something far more complicated. Understanding. Because the truth was, both of them had been shaped by that past moment in ways they never fully understood. And somehow, against all odds, they had found their way back to each other. On a quiet beach. On a night neither of them planned. The question now wasn't what happened. It was, what happens next? Did they walk away, leaving this as a beautiful, fleeting memory? Or did they risk everything, for something that feels real? The waves kept crashing. The night kept moving. But for María José and Alejandro, time seemed to stop. Because sometimes, the most unexpected moments become the ones that change everything.